Hey guys, let's get more news from Dallas Cowboys, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Cowboys make brutal NFL history with ugly wildcard loss to Packers. Being on the wrong side of history is the least of the Dallas Cowboys' problems right now. However, following their ugly 48-32 loss to the Green Bay Packers in the NFL's wildcard round of the playoffs, the team's name will now be etched into the record books. Sunday's loss marked the third straight season in which the Cowboys have won 12 games in the regular season but failed to make it to the championship game, leaving them as the first team to do so, as ESPN's Jordan Raanan highlighted. It's a brutal result and a stat highlighting the team's postseason shortcomings. While the Cowboys have come up short in previous years, at times in brutal fashion offensively, this loss falls on essentially all aspects of the team. Very little went right during the loss, as two Aaron Jones touchdowns left Dallas in a 14-0 hole early in the second quarter. But after a Jordan Love touchdown pass to Dontavian Wicks, Dak Prescott's pick six left them in a 27-0 hole before the game even hit halftime. The loss was so bad that it seemingly left Mike McCarthy's seat hotter than ever, and his future will be worth monitoring over the coming days. Nothing but love for Green Bay while Dallas loses, again. Would the Chicago Bears entertain trading the first overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft for Dak Prescott and the Cowboys' first-round pick? Is Bill Belichick en route to Dallas and a meetup with Jerry Jones? As Cowboys Nation wakes up with their annual feeling of déjà vu, here are thoughts to consider for a couple of the teams who are still alive and headed to the divisional round of the playoffs. Drew Dinsick, at @whale_capper, opened today's episode of Bet the Edge acknowledging the exceptional play of a couple of young quarterbacks. The fact that we have young quarterbacks who have stepped into the crucible of playoff pressure and absolutely delivered is awesome. It is awesome, and I think there is probably going to be a potential for a little overreaction this week, maybe with people being a little excited about how well these young quarterbacks are performing, as it is probable that C.J. Stroud heads to Baltimore and it's certain that Jordan Love heads to San Francisco. Jay Croucher's big takeaways came from the other side of the ball, the losing teams and their porous defenses. The two biggest things I'll take away from the weekend were what happened to Cleveland and Dallas defenses. I think that what probably happened with Cleveland's defense is that they just reached the point of no return with their injuries. It's just that we didn't realize it, and then this Cowboys defense, I can't remember a team ever in any sport that has such a stark differential between how they play against good teams and how they play in bad teams. We've talked about it all year. The defense is basically if Parsons and Lawrence don't get home, it's extremely vulnerable. With Dallas now in their rearview mirror, the Packers now travel to San Francisco. Dinsick believes they are alive as 10-point underdogs to the NFC's top seed. The Green Bay Packers are live against the Niners. The Green Bay Packers offense is cooking. Matt LaFleur knew what was going to be asked of him today, and he came to the test with the answers. He delivered, and it was awesome to see it play out. He had a healthy lead against a team that is capable of explosive plays, and he never took his foot off the gas. Cowboys urged to make wild move for former $93 million coach. The Dallas Cowboys may soon be in the market for a new head coach, and one name that would turn heads in the football world is former Alabama Crimson Tide coach Nick Saban. The Cowboys still have head coach Mike McCarthy under contract. Yet, the team's blowout loss to the Green Bay Packers calls into question McCarthy's future. Could Saban want another chance to improve the one blemish on his otherwise impeccable resume, the lack of NFL success? ESPN's Kevin Clark has former Seattle Seahawks coach Pete Carroll as Dallas' best replacement option, which is worth its own discussion. The analyst lists Saban as a close second. Given that Saban just retired, it feels like a long shot that owner Jerry Jones would be able to lure the coach to Big D. The second person I would call is Nick Saban, one of the greatest coaches in the history of football, Clark explained in a January 15, 2024 episode of This Is Football. A bad rap in Miami. Some people say he couldn't relate to millionaire athletes. That is not what happened. He left for the college game because he felt he couldn't control his own destiny once the Dolphins doctors said he couldn't sign Drew Brees. So, he said, if you do everything right in the NFL, you may not win, which is 100% true, Clark continued. Whereas in college, he knew if you do everything right, you get the 5 stars. You get the national championships. You cook. Draft, free agency, all that stuff makes it a little bit muddied, in the NFL. It is hard to argue with Saban's resume, which includes 7 national titles and 11 SEC championships. Not to mention the countless Alabama players under Saban who have gone on to have standout NFL careers. The cost of luring Saban out of retirement would be pricey for Jones. Saban signed a $93.6 million contract extension with Bama in 2022, per CBS Sports' Barrett Sallee. This means the starting point for any NFL discussion would need to be a lucrative contract from the Cowboys. It is not as if Saban was a complete disaster in the NFL with the coach going 15-17 in his 2 seasons as Miami Dolphins head coach. Could Jones lure Saban back to the NFL to take care of unfinished business? Weeks before announcing his retirement, Saban admitted that the quality of life for NFL coaches is greater than in college. Being a college football head coach became much more complicated with the introduction of the transfer portal and NIL. Sometimes on occasion, especially guys that have been on our staff before, they ask a lot about what it's like coaching in the NFL, Saban noted during a January 4 interview on ESPN's The Pat McAfee Show. And I think it's great to coach in the NFL. I think there was a time when coaching in college, the lifestyle was probably a little better. I think right now, based on the circumstances that we've created in college football, lifestyle is a little bit better in the NFL. Some guys love recruiting. They like relationships. They like trying to help guys develop when they're young people, which I've always kind of enjoyed that part of it in college football, Saban added. But I also really enjoy the competitive edge that the NFL has. You got the best teams, the best players competing against each other, and 70% of the games are decided by a touchdown or less. So, it's really, really great coaching those kind of competitors and those kind of players. So, there's good and bad in both. All of this is dependent on the Cowboys moving on from McCarthy. With so many NFL teams already well into their coaching search, Dallas would be wise to make a decision sooner rather than later. And you fan, what do you think of the Nick Saban situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.